This video is going to highlight a couple things I'm looking for about the Nerds Card Guide and try to correct some things that are wrong with some of your previous work. So to begin with, this is the Nerds Card Guide, and this is the example document. It's not complete, but it's not complete on purpose because I want you to try to figure out some things on here. Let's talk about footnotes. So the acceleration in G is on a straightaway, and then I've got this little letter over here. What I would do is I would type this up as the letter A, and I turn the font to red up here. And then I go to Format, Text, and then I'll go to Superscript. So there's a shortcut for my Mac. It's a command and a period. On the Windows, it'd be control and period. So I could use a keyboard shortcut, or I can just use the menu, and that'll make it like this, so it like sticks up above the normal baseline of all the letters. And then what I would do is go down my page to where it says the calculations page. And here for A, these are my footnotes. And what I would do is I'd highlight this and delete the instructions and then type the equations that I'm using in order the calculations that I'm using. And I'm going to use the equation editor. Remember that's insert, and then I'll go down to equation, insert the equation, and we talked about the video that shows you how to do this, or you can search on let's say YouTube and find a video on how to do that if you don't have the original stuff that we did. So that's the footnote. You need to make sure you're using the footnotes for the calculations. So the one that I actually did was down here at the bottom on the straightaway performance, and that was letter C. And then when I go down here at the bottom for letter C, now this is kind of odd because you're used to links. You link on something and it goes right to it, but this is very old school. So if you're having a printed document, and that's kind of what we're aiming for, you put these things called footnotes in it, and they appear in the footer of the page, which is the bottom of the page. And so they're a footnote. So here's C, and you can see that what it tells me is it tells me what I'm actually going to calculate in letter C, which is calculate the time to travel between the stops. My givens, just like we solve any problem, what do I know? And then the equation that I'm using, and then I isolate the unknown, put in numbers and units and solve it. And I can change the font in this equation editor. I can highlight it and I can actually increase and decrease the font up here if it's hard to see. So I'll do this for all the calculations that I have. All right, what else? Oh yeah, works cited. So I'm going back and looking at this time. So I'm grading this separately. I need to see your works cited. Where did you get the images from? You got to list that. If you got a number like the power, and you just got it off the web, that needs to be here. So these are the kinds of things that you put here. And what I'm looking for is, what are you talking about? So here's the image, the curve's diameter from Google Maps. Tell me, what is this that this link is going to tell me about? And then I want to know what's the title of the page or the website. Give me a link and when you accessed it. So this was done February 8th, 2018, supposedly. So that's what I want for the works cited. Okay, so now let's talk about the cornering performance. This is what you're turning in next. Fastest highway on and off ramp speed in miles per hour. This is calculated. And see, I've got a little footnote here. It says F. So I'm going to go down here to where it says F, highlight all this, delete my instructions, use the equation editor when needed, and insert the equations of how I solved it. So the fastest highway speed on off, what I'm going to use is the lateral acceleration as the centripetal acceleration and the radius I measured. So this is the diameter down here, so I'll figure out what the radius is. And then I'll calculate what that fastest speed would be under perfect circumstances. Remember, in the real world, it's not perfect, but this is under perfect circumstances. And then I'll figure out the time to travel 270 degrees on this highway ramp. So not all the way around, but about 3/4 of the way around it. So the period of motion is the time to go 360, and this one's 3/4 of the way around. So I figured out that time in seconds. And again, I have a footnote showing me where I'm going to do the calculations. And then a fast right-hand turn. So the radius is 11 meters, and that's given to you. And you're going to figure out how fast you can go around that. So it's kind of the same calculation you did earlier. You've got the radius, you know the lateral acceleration is the centripetal acceleration, and you'll do the calculations and the conversions to get to miles per hour. And then you put all your work down in whatever footnote you're up to. So I was up to letter H, and then letter I is my next one where I'll show the calculations, and that's the time to travel 90 degrees on the turn above at the maximum speed. So remember, when you calculate the period of motion, that's the time to go around once, and this is a quarter of the time, quarter of the rotation around. And so you work the calculation, different formula to find the time it takes to go around this 11-meter curve at whatever velocity you just calculated, with the lateral acceleration being the centripetal acceleration. give me a picture of what you're looking at, a little screenshot here, and show me the numbers you're talking about. So there's the radius, and there's this. This is the one intersection. This is off of exit 118B on 64. So this is the one on or off ramp you cannot use in your calculations at the top. And then, of course, you saw my footnotes about H and I. So down here where there's H, I guess it's H and J, or maybe it's H and I there. This is where I would put the calculations using the equation editor. Good luck.